It's Dio right here on your Classic Metal Show with Carrie Livgren of the band Kansas once again with The Great Deceiver. That one going out by request to AOR Rocks in the Classic Metal Show chat room. All right, well, I promised Emily, she called in earlier during the opening segment of the show, if she would call in tonight, 800-497-5891. We will discuss her story, because she seemed particularly interested in that. So, Emily, if you're still listening, 800-497-5891. Call me here, and we will talk about your story that kind of reminded you of us here on the Classic Metal Show, and I'll let you... We'll talk about it, because I am familiar with the story, and I would like to get your thoughts and take on it, and I'll give you mine as well. But anyway, it's been an interesting night, a tribute to Dio, and very cool stuff here. It's a lot more music than we've played on the show literally in years, but it's cool. But apparently Chris is still zonked out, and I don't know. I don't anticipate that he'll take part in the last 2 hours of the show. So I'll let you guys and gals of the Classic Metal Show kind of co-host with me tonight. So Emily, if you're listening still, call me, and we'll talk about your story. Actually, it would be kind of fun to get your perspective on a couple of things that I've got lined up here as well. So anyway, I talked to the V. She was ecstatic that you guys and girls were asking about her, and were happy about, having her on the show tonight. And, she's just trying to, make things happen. The entertainment business is very difficult to be in these days, especially if you're trying to make some kind of a living at it. And she's going over to Europe with the band The Rods, and touring a few dates over there. And so she's just kind of gearing up for that. And she's kind of been having some problems with her back problems. She's got some, I don't know what you want to call, calcium deposits or spinal growth that's been causing her some real back pain. But she's going to struggle through that and go over to Europe, play some shows with the Rods, and come back and, get that taken care of. But I appreciate the V for taking a few minutes to talk to us here on the show tonight. Is that you, Emily?
Yeah, it's me. I'm tired.
You're tired? Where are you from, Emily?
Originally, I'm from Maine, but I'm actually I'm in Newton right now. So
you're where?
Massachusetts. That's Newton, Massachusetts.
Oh, Newton, Mass. Now, how did you find out about the Classic Metal Show? Have you been listening to the show long?
For a while, about 3 years, yeah.
Really? 3 years? And you're just now making yourself known to us?
My boyfriend is a big fan, and over the years, I've become a little addicted to the podcast.
Really? And what do you like about the show the most?
I enjoy your witty banter.
Okay. Well, usually our banter is a little bit rough for the female persuasion. A lot of women find us offensive, but apparently you're not one of those girls.
Well, your Indian tales remind me of a lovely man, and a very angry Palestinian man that I worked for many years, all over the place. And there's not much I haven't heard come out of his mouth. So. Okay.
All right. Well, again, we love all the female fans that we can get. Of course, we know that, a lot of the female listeners are often offended at things that we say, or they're just not down with whatever it is. But apparently you're one of the cool chicks. So
that's my choice. That's my choice to listen.
That is true. I'm glad you said that. All right. Well, you called in earlier in the show, and you had a story you want to share with us. So I'm going to let you be Chris tonight, because Chris kind of bitched out on me and didn't show up like he promised. So you're going to be you're going to be my sidekick tonight. So, Emily, what do you got? What do you got to bring to the table tonight? What do you want to share with the fans?
Well, first, let's hope Chris isn't wrapped up in a bunch of electrical wires.
Oh, I don't think that's the case. I think
sleeping and desperately clutching a piece of a machine he's trying to fix.
Well, I think Chris is probably passed out on a couch somewhere and totally forgot what time it was, but that's okay. We'll make up for it next week. We're going to broadcast all day next week, so you're in the co-host chair right now. So take it away, Emily.
So you're familiar with the story?
I am familiar with the story, but maybe the fans are not. So you have to tell this story as if nobody knows anything about this.
I will tell the story if you would be kind enough to bring up the video clip of her speech, so we can enlighten them.
Well, let me do that right now. So
okay. I'm just sorry, I'm not prepared. Just give me a moment. Hang on there, guys. I know you're all.
That's all right.
We're going to wake you up.
That's all right, Emily. Our fans seem to be more tolerant of the female persuasion on this show.
Oh, good. Don't worry, guys. I'm pretty too.
Nice.
I'm just kidding. Principal. That's right. So essentially, this woman in Georgia owns an alternative school.
Okay, now what does it mean by alternative school? What does that mean?
Great question. The first time I saw this article, it was just like a little blip of her going crazy in the middle of a graduation ceremony.
Okay.
So I saw that and didn't really think much about it except, wow, that's amazing, and I'll get more into that in a moment. But so, of course, I immediately looked up the school. It's called TNT Academy, and it's in somewhere in Georgia.
Okay.
It's an alternative school. As a professor, I was particularly interested in what that meant.
You're a professor?
Yes.
Well, what are you a professor of?
At the moment,
yeah.
Nothing. I'm not teaching right now. I'm starting back up again this summer.
Okay. Well, what is your
English literature?
Okay. All right. So you're eloquent in your speech.
Not as much as this woman is.
Okay. All right.
And she owns the whole school. She essentially bought a school or started a business. That has not become clear yet. They do have a board of directors that managed to remove her from her position.
All right. Well, it's a private entity is what it is.
It's a private entity that homeschooled or children that are, I think she puts it on her website as kids that are getting into trouble are able to pay their way into. It's not accredited, and I guess they just pay and go there. Anyway, what happened was they had a graduation ceremony. She accidentally omitted the name of the valedictorian of the class from the program.
Okay.
His speech was to be at the end, his or her speech, I don't know if it was a boy or girl, was to be at the end, and everyone started getting up and leaving because there was nothing on the program.
She basically forgot that the valedictorian had to make their speech, and everybody thought that the ceremony was over.
Mm-hmm. Everyone thought the ceremony was over.
So people were getting up
they started playing the music. People got up.
As anybody would, no matter who you are, you would get up, you would leave the auditorium, you think the thing is over, and she's just like trying to stop everybody from leaving because she realized the mistake that she made, and she wants everybody to stay in order to hear the speech from the valedictorian of the class.
You summed it up.
Okay.
All right, and she said, it's my fault. I admitted this. I'm so sorry. Please, let's stay. And then she began to yell. And do you have a?
I do. I have the clip ready.
I'm ready.
Okay. Well, apparently this principal, or this the head of this private school, she berated the audience for getting up and leaving the auditorium due to her mistake that she did not. She proceeded to end the ceremony when it wasn't ending, and she had forgotten that the valedictorian had to make the speech, and so she goes on a little bit of a rant. All right, let's go here. Video. That's what happens when you play these live videos. All right. Well, there you go.
Well, in fairness, when the people went back, it could have been closed, because apparently it closes 2 hours a day for lunch.
Sure.
as do all schools.
So the question is here, and I heard her defense that quote unquote the devil made me do it, or the devil was present, or I didn't mean that. But in reality, is the term black people, is that really a racial slur? I
think it's like anything you use. To me, bitch isn't really a bad term, unless I can call a dog a bitch, because it is.
Sure.
If you call me a bitch, that's probably not great.
Sure.
It's really in the context.
Exactly.
So, and the way she said it. Yeah.
So
a Jewish person isn't.
Well, you said that you read
the word Jewish isn't bad. Isn't a racist term unless you call somebody negatively Jewish.
Right. So at the beginning of the show tonight, you called in and you said that you read the story and it made you laugh, and it made you think of the classic metal show. So when you read that and it kind of made you chuckle, what was your thoughts?
Oh, I think I went back to the story about the guy with a gun in the licensed open weapon.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, the guy that was in Michigan, and he went to the school play or the school choir concert, and he had an open.
And Chris was quite calm until the choir director, or whatever his name was, took it upon himself to rain down terror on the man. I don't know. I enjoy your reaction to things.
Sure.
But Jeff, this is amazing. How does that come out of someone's mouth?
Well, I'm going to.
Think it's okay.
Well, I'm going to interject something here, and I don't know this is fact. I'm just going by what I know because I traveled the country. Atlanta has a high population of quote unquote, and I hate even using this term because I think that we who live in this country should be all considered as Americans. I do not like labels, African American, Irish American. We're all Americans. It doesn't matter what your nationality is. And in my opinion, that's the way it should be. But
my father made me check off Native American on all of my college applications because he said I was.
Okay. Well, again, I just think that we as Americans, it doesn't matter because most people of color, and I'm talking about black, are not from Africa. They're not from Africa. They were born here. They're Americans, just as much as I am. I've got a very European ancestry, but I don't consider myself Irish American or Finnish American or whatever the case may be. I'm just an American. And that's the way I think it should be. That's just my own opinion. But regardless of that, Atlanta has a high population of I'm going to use the term that the principal used, black people.
Yes.
Okay. And I think that there are a lot of tensions in populations that contain certain ethnicities, regardless of your color. I know that back in the 20s and the 30s, especially like in New York City, there was prejudicial viewpoints against people from Ireland. You know, they were discriminated against, or whatever the case may be. And I do a segment here, and you brought it up here earlier in your discussion about the Indian tales. I've had personal experience with people from India. These are actually people from India. They weren't born here. They're from India. They come here. They do their thing. And that's all well and fine. But that does not necessarily mean I have to agree with whatever their cultural upbringing is, because I'm an American, and if they come here, that doesn't necessarily mean I have to open my arms and accept them for whatever it is that they choose to believe or however they choose to conduct themselves. But we, as Americans, if you're born here, you're raised here, I think that we should assimilate to what's acceptable and not acceptable within our culture.
Absolutely. And actually, I've lived in 4 different countries in the past 10 years, and I've done some assimilating.
Sure. Well, I don't.
Because you do.
Right, of course. Well, there are places in our country, be it Arizona, California, Texas, Florida, where they basically bow to allowing, say, quote unquote, Mexican Americans or Spanish Americans, where they have to accommodate them with their own separate language signs and menus and whatnot. It's just like, no, if you come here to live, wherever it is you're from, you're accepting the fact that you are now living in a country or a culture that you have to assimilate to. We don't assimilate to you. Okay. That's my opinion. Now, that might seem bigoted or racist or whatever, tag you want to put on it, but that's just how it is. As there's an old saying that goes, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. That's an old cliche, but there's a lot of truth to that. Now, for this woman, this principal of this Atlanta school, to spout out, oh, look who's all leaving, it's the black people. Well, again, there's a certain attitude, there's a certain behavior that goes along with a certain culture or, a certain segment of the community. Now, that may sound like a racist statement, but that's not a racist statement. It's just saying that why do you act outside of what most people consider acceptable or decent or whatever the case may be? And the thing is that if you criticize anything outside of what the norm is, then you're being a racist or you're being, intolerant or whatever. But the thing is that there's a standard that needs to be set for everyone. It doesn't matter where you're from, what your background is, what your cultural background is. The standard needs to be the same for everyone. That's why it's important for everyone to be, quote unquote, an American, not an African American, not an Indian American, not an Irish American, whatever it is your ancestral background is. We're just Americans, and we should all have the same standard.
We can. I'm sorry. We can. We can try, but I'm not sure that's what's at stake here. I think we're looking at a woman who bought her own school, and it's not even accredited, by the way.
Well, regardless,
apparently wrote her own website, because there are some insanely good spelling errors in here, and claims that the devil made her do it.
Sure. Well, again, that
kind of indicates that she knows that she misspoke.
Yeah, of course she does. Well, she knows that she did wrong, and that's not, of course, that's not the right thing to do. But I think that she let emotion override rational thought. And that's where that stands. And that's not giving her a pass or giving her an excuse. I think emotion just kind of overrides better judgment. And that's not saying that she should be excused for that, but I think that's what the case might be.
I've just never seen anything like it.
Well, I don't think anybody has seen anything like it. And if anybody saw anything like it, it wouldn't have made the news.
No, it doesn't necessarily offend me. I just thought it was. I thought it was amazing. I couldn't stop watching.
Of course, But the thing is if our news cycle wasn't so immediate, and the internet isn't what it is these days, we probably would have never heard about this until 2 weeks later, if this was 25 or 30 years ago.
If we'd heard about it at all.
Exactly.
That's very true.
But the thing is we're so instantaneous with our communications, you're going to hear about it immediately. The guy walking around with his iPad, filming the whole thing and uploading it immediately, and going to Twitter and going to Facebook and, submitting it.
That's a huge liability now too.
Exactly. So everybody, even myself, we need to always be cognizant that somebody's listening. But, the thing is that commercially, which means making of money, being supported by some kind of an income, I don't worry about that, because the Classic Metal Show is not supported by an income. It is not a commercial entity. It's something that I support 100% out of my own pocketbook. And if somebody finds whatever it is that Chris and I do on a regular basis offensive, what are you going to do about it?
Yes, absolutely. That's why I say it's my choice to listen. I'm just looking at the chat room here. The devil made me do it with your mom.
Exactly. So, Emily, any additional thoughts about this?
Nope, just thought of you guys. Thought it was funny. Never
All right,
really called in before.